Speaking of fit, I mean, the OG fit with those two is just impeccable. But I do want to shift to your Lakers because this has been the most roller coaster season I've ever seen in my entire life, Jason. One day it's, can the Lakers make the play-ins? The next day is, are the Lakers legit title contenders? Will they win it all? What have you made of it, and what have you made of the hot streak?
Yeah, I have a theory. This is not based on any sort of reporting at all, but the Lakers season makes a lot more sense when you split it into thirds.
Mm.
Like they come out the gates and they go 15-9. Inconsistent during that stretch. A lot of their wins, they would like be trailing by 8-9 points at the end of the third quarter, and then just have this crazy fourth. As they've been one of the best fourth quarter teams and clutch teams in the league this year. But like they go 15-9, counting the in-season tournament win. In the in-season tournament, they beat the Suns, then they beat the Pelicans, then they beat the Pacers. They slow down a Pacers team that the Celtics couldn't even slow down. Like a really impressive stretch to the in-season tournament. Then I think two things happened. One, immediately at that point, they hoisted a trophy in the middle of the season. So like I think there was like a real relaxation at that point. And specifically for a guy like LeBron, like a 39-year-old dude like that, like I think and I really do think the leader of your team, that kind of attitude bleeds over into everything else. And like look at what happened immediately after that. They lost to a Dallas Mavericks team right after the in-season tournament championship game that was completely devastated by injuries, and they lost to them. Then they turned around and lost to the Spurs, and the Spurs had 3 wins to that point in the season. Like they literally immediately relaxed after winning the in-season tournament. They go 3-10 over the next 13 games, right? Then there's like a turning point game on January 7th. I think it was against the Clippers, if I remember correctly. Everyone is like, they're just going to get destroyed by the Clippers. And part of the story leading into that was like during that 3-10 stretch, Darvin Ham started messing with the starting lineup. And I really do think there was a push from some. I have no reporting on this, but I really do think there was like some passive aggressive, like LeBron and AD and some of the other core guys were just done with Darvin. And I think they were hoping that they could kind of pout their way into a midseason coaching change. And I think that in combination with the relaxation after the in-season tournament kind of led to that 3-10 stretch. Obviously, some lineup stuff in there too. But once they beat the Clippers, they've been really good since then. They are 19-11 in their last 30 games. They've been 6th in offense over that span. They're 12-5 in their last 17 games. And they're number 2 in offense over that span in particular. And so like they were good to start the season, and then they've been really good here at this late stretch. They just have this really bad stretch in the middle that absolutely destroyed their chances in the standings. All of that said, I still feel exactly the same way I felt about them after the Denver Nuggets series last year. After the Denver Nuggets series last year, I was like, this team is good. They can beat a lot of teams, but in order for the matchup resiliency to win 4 playoff rounds, they got to get a real two-way athlete in the backcourt. Like they just have to do it. They got to get someone that's an Alex Caruso, Bruce Brown type of player that you can put next to their skill guards, guard the other team's best player, chase over the top, funnel into Anthony Davis, all that kind of stuff. They didn't do it over the summer, and they didn't do it at the deadline. And so now I feel exactly the same. Like certain matchups, like I think they're going to beat Oklahoma City if they get them in a series. I think they can beat Minnesota just because Minnesota's half-court offense is such an issue. Like I think that, but if they run into Denver, they're losing. If they run into Sacramento with their speed guards, they're losing. They run into the Clippers with all their switching. I'm worried about them too. Like that's the thing. I think they're entirely matchup dependent now. And so that window of them sneaking through almost requires some injuries to key teams and got maybe an upset from somebody else around the way so that they don't have to play a specific team. And like, that's just a lot to ask. And so, I'm a fan of the team. Obviously I'm rooting for them, but I don't really see a likely path this year, if that makes sense.